Welcome to the Anxious Love Coach podcast, the place to be to create meaningful, conscious, secure, long-term partnerships. Here we talk relationship anxiety, relationship OCD, and creating healthy dynamics with your partners so that you can experience that secure, loving connection where you both feel committed and confident. My name is Natalie Kennedy, and I'm your host. I'm a relationship anxiety coach and meditation teacher. I've had a practice for 9 years working with clients battling anxiety. And after experiencing an extraordinary shift in my own healing relative to relationships, now work to combine my personal experience as well as my training to help others trust themselves within relationship. I've been to the edge and back with my partner from my own relationship anxiety and have come out the other side, feeling consistently blessed and at ease in my partnership. I want to pass the tools I've learned along to you to help you trust yourself in relationships and also create magnetic dynamics with your partner. Our partners are our mirrors designed for our expansion, and the challenges exist generally to wake us up to ourselves, not destroy our beautiful partnerships. I believe most mainstream relationship advice today can be a huge source of anxiety and dissatisfaction. So let's jump in and normalize the challenges that we go through, call out the limitations of today's messages about love without being old-fashioned, and awaken our intuition and wisdom. All right, let's do this. We're recording a podcast today. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Anxious Love Coach podcast. I'm Natalie. I'm your host, and we're doing this today. I am so sincerely sorry for it taking as long as it has for me to upload a podcast since my last one. That sucks. I know I love recording the podcast. I know you guys love listening to them. I know you, dear listener, probably enjoy it. Otherwise, I don't know why you would be here again and again. I should say that I'm getting married. I think you guys know that already. But I'm not going to talk a whole lot about wedding planning today, but I will say that it's simultaneously like a really healing experience because stuff surfaces that needs to get surfaced and you have to address it while you're also planning a wedding. So it's been this like beautiful thing while also super excruciatingly hard, and there's so many moving pieces. Oh my God, whatever you thought wedding planning would be like, it's just not. I don't know what your expectations are, but just throw them out the window, whatever they are. Just terrible relationship advice today is do not expect your wedding to be the best day of your life. I already know it's not going to be. Besides, I think that kind of putting the pressure on yourself to have the wedding be the best day of your life. Are you like never allowed to have the best day of your life after that? Does it just go downhill? Like, I don't know. Anyway, today I want to talk about making mistakes in relationship, or if you ever worry about making a mistake by staying in your relationship. I know when Press and I got together, it was super hot. That's not everybody's story, but it was ours. I personally don't know whether that actually is a predictor of long-term happiness in relationship. Please don't ask me. I don't know. But in our case, we had a super hot beginning, and then right around year 5, 6, 7, 8 even, there was a lot of like mundane. I learned that there's something called a 7-year itch. It's kind of when you start feeling like something's maybe missing. You've gotten really comfortable. Maybe you start craving a little novelty. Other people start looking kind of yummy to you. I definitely found myself attracted to other people, even if I didn't act on it externally. But simultaneously, I still found so much comfort and love in my relationship, and I wondered if things were wrong. So if you're in that itchy phase, I don't think it has to be 7 years, but I just think 7 years is just, it's long enough for things to be mundane for long enough to where you wonder, is this how it's going to be forever? I think a lot of people, when they fall in love and they get married, within the first couple years, they fall into the itch after they're married. With Press and I think we fell into the itch before we were married, and so we've kind of gotten past it. And do we still have itchy moments? Yeah, we definitely do. But I think kind of in falling in and out of the itch cyclically, I can start seeing a pattern in the sense that these things really don't last forever. I will say, I am currently recording at the place that we are intending to get married, which is Preston's grandparents' house. And so I'm recording this as I am looking out the window at our kind of fixer-upper wedding that we need to take care of. This house is so gorgeous, but there's so much stuff that we need to do. Oh my God. And that said, the reason I shared that with you is because sometimes airplanes fly overhead. So I will try to pause when that happens, but worst case scenario, you hear an airplane in this podcast. Now, this podcast today, I wanted to bring it up around Valentine's Day because it's one of those holidays that people tend to start comparing their relationships a lot. They start noticing that their relationship isn't as sexy looking as maybe what they see on Instagram. And I think maybe that can lead a lot of people to wonder whether they are doing something wrong, whether they are making a mistake, whether they're not getting enough romance or enough heat or sexiness, or maybe they're worried they're doing something wrong if they decide to stay home and do Valentine's Day on another day, or maybe skip it all together. Maybe you treat every day as Valentine's Day. Maybe you see Valentine's Day to be this really materialistic thing. Maybe you see Valentine's Day as an opportunity for you guys to put a little extra effort in if you have been both slacking. You know, whether you place a lot of meaning on Valentine's Day or not, I actually don't think it matters that much, so long as you are aware that that's what you're doing. People who tend to place a lot of meaning on it don't realize that not everybody does that. And people who don't place a lot of meaning on Valentine's Day don't realize that some people really do. There isn't this right or wrong. And that is why I kind of want to talk about rightness and wrongness in relationship, because it really comes from this judgmental place in our heads. And I want to back up a bit when we're talking about judgment and right and wrong and using language like mistakes and correct choices, because I think a lot of people, when I say, move beyond black and white thinking, or stop thinking of things in terms of good and bad or right and wrong, you can't make a mistake. A lot of people are kind of take that and assume that what I'm saying is that we're just going to live without this sense of morality, and we're just going to sit in a cave and meditate all day, and everything's just going to dissolve and be totally impractical. I want to share with you how moving beyond concepts of right and wrong can be really, really beneficial. I also want to share how it can be useful to label things in terms of right and wrong. I want to share how it can be useful to label things mistakes and non-mistakes. So it's really not about using language like right and wrong is wrong. I'm not saying that. It's just, is it useful right now or is it not? Okay. Now, I would like to share with you where this idea came from, because I actually was taking a hike a few weeks ago, and this beautiful thought came through my head. It kind of just downloaded from the sky. I don't know. It was beautiful. And I was sitting by a little waterfall that I used to go visit in childhood, and I came back to it alone. And I was sitting on a rock by the waterfall, and this little passage came to my head, and I pulled up my phone and I recorded a voice note. And I could try to describe what I said on that day, or I could just share the voice note with you. So here's a little peaceful couple minute snippet on just general mistake making, how it's useful and how it's not. I hope you enjoy it. And then we'll meet back here. As we progressed as a species, humans discovered that the more they knew, the more power they had and the more choice and freedom that they had. And so there became this quest for knowledge, and with that quest for knowledge gave you choices. And we started to notice that different choices led to different outcomes, and some of those outcomes were better than others, which allows us to theoretically make patterns of making what we consider to be good choices over and over. And some choices result in things that we perceive as negative. And inevitably, we start to categorize certain choices to be good and certain choices to be mistakes. And we notice that when we label something a mistake and then we get another opportunity to correct it, we do, and seemingly things get better. And so this has actually allowed us to progress quite rapidly as a species. This sense of morality has allowed us to make choices that take ethics into consideration. But what happens when you take ethics into consideration to such a degree that now, when you find yourself at a fork where there doesn't seem to be a defined right and wrong, what do? Well, then you have anxiety. What if you make the wrong choice? And so now it comes time to question the language that we use and ask if it's really empowering. At some point, using language like mistakes implies that there must, of course, also be a correct decision, a non-mistake. And sometimes when you are trying to learn to trust yourself, you make a decision not knowing if it's right or wrong. But maybe we can step out of this entirely and start embracing the isness of the circumstances that we're in. And maybe in some weird way, not returning to the place we were before we had concepts of right and wrong, but rather evolving into the next level of human awareness, moving beyond right and wrong, so that we can trust ourselves and be with life as it moves through you. Wow, I was so much more grounded when I recorded that. I'm having like a bird brain right now from all the wedding planning and everything. But in either case, I hope you got something out of that. It was really nice to record and have that move through. And I still do believe it is true that we are entering a stage in our lives where it's becoming an imperative that we step out of black and white thinking. I think when you are wondering if you're doing something wrong, whether you're living a life that's a mistake, I don't think there's anything wrong with changing paths, changing relationships, changing careers. In and of itself, that is a neutral event. There is nothing right or wrong about that. I think what's important to just be observant of is your patterns. Do you tend to consistently pull away? Do you tend to consistently sabotage? Those are worth looking at with curiosity, not judgment. But I think there's a lot of people wondering today whether they're living the wrong life and whether they're living the wrong relationship or whether they're eating the right foods or whether they made the right choices in their lives recently. And it makes sense. There's a lot of things at stake. We're living in a pandemic where there's a ton of uncertainty and people are feeling scared of making the wrong choice. And I think when you couple that with being a highly sensitive person and you're getting bombarded with shoulds, just in life, let alone relationships. You're getting it from movies, you're getting it from books. I can't imagine, when 5 years ago when I was having relationship anxiety, I can't imagine being in that place and having a freaking TikTok, you guys. I love TikTok, but if I didn't have the confidence in my relationship that I do today, a TikTok might have made me break up. Like, there's so much stuff out there saying, if your man doesn't do this, then dump him, sister. Like, all of that stuff that made stuff that wasn't a red flag a red flag. Of course, there are red flags that exist, but a lot of them are minutia. The stuff that you see on the internet, it really can make you a perfectionist in your relationship. And I'm already prone to perfectionism, so this just took that to the next level. If I were in that place many years ago, and I'm guessing a lot of you listening now are in that place where you're deeply sensitive, and then you combine that with a bombardment of shoulds from the internet, from YouTube videos, from TikToks, Instagram, and you start becoming hyper aware of what you are not getting. Let's face it, most Instagram posts, most TikToks are not reminding you to say thank you to your partner for brushing his teeth this morning, or thank you for existing, or thank you for taking out the trash, or thank you for rubbing my feet this morning on your way out the door to work. Like little things like that. TikTok and Instagram do not remind us to notice those things, but they do teach us how to notice all the things that are not, all the things you are not getting. And while I do think there is some merit, I notice this paradox where some people have their bar really, really, really low and will settle for anything, even neglect. And then there is the opposite extreme of people who will not tolerate any sort of discomfort. I am noticing that both of these polarities exist. And I am just reminding you that real relationships are a lot more nuanced than that. And if you are focusing on making sure that you're not getting the short end of the stick, you're going to put yourself in the mindset to be quite miserable, I assure you. This is so weird to say, and some people might be triggered, and some people feel like they need to come defend me because they think I'm saying this from an insecure place. I'm really not. I can have some narcissistic traits, and I'm not saying that I am a narcissist. I just can be quite self-absorbed. When I was trying to pretend I didn't have those traits, they ended up coming out in these kind of roundabout, toxic, controlling ways. But as I've owned it, it's actually been very medicinal for me to remind myself, Natalie, you ain't shit, okay? Some people, again, just kind of like in drugs, there's not a drug that works for everybody, and there's not a dose that works for everybody. Hearing you ain't shit might be very disempowering to someone with a really low self-esteem, but for me, it's actually quite humbling to remind myself that I am not entitled to everything, even though there is a little part of me that's like, I want everything. Wash my clothes, iron my clothes, bring me food, bring me water. Can you rub my feet? Da, da, da. Like if I had my way, I would be so demanding all the time. Like that's secretly I have a desire to have a kingdom full of men just serving me and bringing me cherries all day. That dynamic can absolutely show up in the bedroom. Enjoy thinking about that. But in real life, it's helpful for me to remind myself that I ain't shit. So I share this with you because I see these two extremes in relationships today. People are either really never stand up for themselves ever, or they're extremely entitled. And for the people who notice that they can be really demanding in relationships, it's quite medicinal to be reminded, we ain't shit, you guys. Nobody owes us all these things that we wish we could have. And that can be really, quite a slap in the face in the beginning. So anyway, to back this up, when you are telling yourself, I should have better, this should be more, my partner should be doing more for me, sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. And so many of you guys are going to ask me where that line is. And I'm going to tell you that I'm not God. I can't draw that line for you. And that is this complicated paradox of anxious love coach. You have to figure that out for yourself. Yeah. Can we sit in that not knowing for a second? It's kind of this limbo, this not knowing. And so many people today have no idea how to just linger in the not knowing. If you let yourself do that, you'll be met with a silence in the present moment. And when you can be in that place, I recommend The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I think it's one of the most boring books ever written, but it's also got some really profound wisdom in there. If you can be in the moment as it is without all of the story and circumstances, you can find a lot of peace, and you can make decisions from right now rather than projecting yourself 10 years into the future and trying to figure out everything. Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. Okay? So again, to recap that little 3-minute message voice note that I recorded that I am so happily sharing with you now, using the language of making a mistake was useful when humanity had no sense of morals, and it became useful to identify patterns of outcomes based on choices. And I think now we've overcorrected to the point where we're now trying to lump every single decision into right and wrong. We judge everybody, and we're now starting to see where these judgments of right and wrong and goodness and badness it's not becoming so useful anymore, because life is becoming more complicated, more nuanced. So we want to start to move beyond making mistakes, beyond this idea of right and wrong. Rather, you can start shifting to, I'm always learning. There's no mistakes. And I think that's really scary for some people, because in some weird way, when you can tell yourself that you make a mistake, whether it's a mistake with your career or a mistake with how you spend your time or your energy, or when you don't set a boundary when you should have, or when you set a wall instead of a boundary, and you ended up shooting yourself on the foot, or we do something that we later label as self-sabotage, in a way, beating yourself up for it is your kind of ego's sneaky way of trying to maintain control. If I can tell myself I'm wrong, or I can tell myself that I did something bad, well then by default, me labeling something as bad means a good or a right choice exists, and it gives us a sense of control. When we step beyond right and wrong and beyond mistake making, it feels kind of groundless. It's like all of a sudden you're in this limbo of isness. Everything just is. And you can simultaneously accept what is while also moving towards your goals. That is the line that we're walking here. And it's a practice. It's a daily dance, a daily practice of, can I practice accepting the moment as it is while also knowing what I want and moving towards that and making choices towards that? Okay? So we're always learning. And I think so many of us are afraid that we're in the wrong relationship or we're making a wrong decision. You're always making the right decision because it's the decision you're making, because it's here right now. You might as well accept it, accept where you're at. You can always change it. Okay? You can always change it. That's the cool thing. A lot of people are like, well, what if I end up in this relationship and 10 years down the line, we get divorced? I say, okay, what if that does happen? You'd probably be kind of bummed. You'd probably be really sad. You'd probably be heartbroken. It could be expensive. Could some discomfort happen? Yeah. But I want you to question whether something happening like that really means you did something wrong. There's the thing happening, and then there's all the thoughts we have around it. And the thoughts around it are actually really what creates so much of the suffering. The fact that this shouldn't be happening. Listen, if that happens, it's supposed to be happening because it is. And we might as well accept what is. No matter how hard you try in your life, shit's gonna happen. And it's not gonna happen because you did something wrong. Shit's gonna happen because you're human. Shit's not going to happen because you did something wrong. Shit's going to happen because you're human. And shit happens to humans, even the most well-intentioned. And it's actually terrifying to accept that shit could happen regardless of what you do. And so, you might as well live fully, whatever that means to you. And be willing to make what you might later call a mistake, but then move beyond the idea of mistakes. Okay? So, happy Valentine's Day. No matter what you decide, you cannot make a mistake. And with that said, I would love to let you know it's a bit last minute. That's because I'm having wedding brain and a lot of stuff happening. We were traveling last month too. I would like to let you know, somewhat last minute, that my co-coach, Sheridan, and I, we just recorded a podcast a couple months ago. You guys should listen if you want to hear from Sheridan a bit. We're on Instagram. That Sheridan and I are starting a women's group program next week, starting Thursday, February 17th. It is called Both Feet In. and it is a 6-month program. We have never hosted a 6-month program before with a group. I'm so excited. Part of this was designed because we would like to serve more women at once. And in a way, it's also so that I can have a more intimate sort of container. When I say container, I mean there's there's a start and an end, and in this little container of a group program, we're going to get into this container and do a lot of work, and then the women are going to re-enter the world after that in their own way. So we'll be meeting 6 times per month via Zoom. Sheridan is doing like 3 meditations per month. I'm doing 2 lectures and 1 Q&A. So that comes out to 6 calls. Everything is recorded. This is a great way if you are a woman in partnership. At the moment, it's just for women because we are kind of centering we are studying and sharing our philosophy on relationship anxiety from the feminine energy lens. So there's a lot on attachment styles, but there's also a lot on polarity and how to create tension in relationship. At the moment, we're not doing men. Part of that is because, I'm just going to be honest, Sheridan and I don't feel as prepared to work with a group of men at the moment. We do work one-on-one with men, but in a group, we don't feel like we have the tools or the training to work with men in a group. So that said, we love working with women in groups, and we're definitely planning on having a really fantastic experience. So we start on February 17th, and if you're listening to this after, the nice thing about this program is we're actually keeping it open. So we're not offering assessments for it. You can just go to anxiouslovecoach.com and find Both Feet In, and you can enroll. Feel free to shoot us an email or a DM on Instagram, and we can help you figure out if it's a good fit for you. This is one of the coolest things we have ever hosted. So this is for the woman in relationship or woman who has a tendency to enter relationships with this pattern. That tends to have one foot in, one foot out. It has kind of a wishy-washy energy around relationships. It says, I love you, go away. I miss you. And then as soon as you're together, you don't want to be together anymore. You want to break up, but then if you do break up, you want to get back together. It's like this very hesitant energy, and it's really an inability to commit. And we notice that a lot of women that we work with, not only do they have this pattern in relationships, but they have this pattern with a lot of other things. They struggle to commit to routines. They struggle to commit to plans. They struggle to commit to how they spend their money, which makes it fun when we're trying to say commit to a 6-month program. Of course, the same wishy-washiness that shows up in relationships also shows up with committing to a 6-month program. So we get that. If you have some hesitancy around joining Both Feet In, but you're interested, we totally understand. Feel free to shoot us a message. Even if it's after February 17th, we're going to keep it open. We'll see. We're not sure yet, but probably at least for 3 months. So if you do end up joining late, it's not a big deal. You can rewatch the content and connect with other people in the program. This is actually the first program that we are offering a Telegram support group, which is so cool. It's not for reassurance seeking. It's mainly to get you guys to be able to connect with other women and practice the tools that we teach you. And the other thing that we are offering as part of Both Feet In is the option to work one-on-one, kind of a la carte. So I think we have worked with hundreds of women at this point, and we see the same issues over and over. I can't tell you how many times someone shares in one of our groups a story or a conflict, and then everyone in the comments is like, oh my God, I have the same exact problem. And it's like, when we coach women through that, everybody benefits, and it's such a validating, wonderful experience. But in case there is something that you uniquely want to work on and not share in the group, we're offering you guys the option to work with us one-on-one as a bonus to being in the group program. Right now, if you want to work one-on-one with us, you have to buy a big package. That allows us to not stress about getting clients all the time, so that we can really spend a lot of time creating free content like this. Sheridan and I are really committed to running a business that allows us to be at ease. It's so important. When we are at ease and relaxed and we're not worrying, we do better work. We just do better work. That said, Both Feet In is an investment. So feel free to head to the website and take a look at what it entails. I mean, it's 6 calls per month for 6 months. So everybody's got to get paid. And like, this is a 6-month thing. So I'm really, getting a bulk of my income this month from people joining. So that way I can relax for the other months. Anyway, if you are wanting to work with us, but Both Feet In is beyond what you're willing to spend right now, we are offering a Valentine's Day discount for Relationship Anxiety Alchemist, our self-study course. So if you've been following me for a while, you've probably heard me talk about Relationship Anxiety Alchemist. It was our first self-study course and group program back in the day. And it teaches a lot of the same concepts as Both Feet In. I think if you are new to this work, you'll find you get so much clarity just out of the self-study course. We have an online Facebook group that goes along with the course, and Sheridan and I do live Q&As on Facebook Live every week. Teaches you attachment. It teaches you some trauma work, a lot of mindfulness-based practices to get under the surface of your doubtful, obsessive thinking, getting you into your body and working with old gunk, old emotions through sound, through movement, through learning to observe and separate from that voice in your head. This is basically mindfulness work through the lens of relationships. These are my 2 favorite things to talk about: mindfulness and relationships polarity. When you mix them together, what a delicious combination. So we are offering 15% off from, what month is it? I'm getting married. February 12th through 15th. You can access the self-study course on my website. Use the code Valentine15 at checkout to get 15% off any courses that we have on the Anxious Love Coach website. Enjoy. I'm very proud of that course. So if you are wanting a lot of tools, that is a great place to start. And that is it, my dear friends. Both Feet In starts next week. Again, if you're listening to this after and you still want to join, there is plenty of time. We are keeping the enrollment open. So please feel free to register and reach out to us if you're having any hesitations around joining. And that's it. I apologize for having such a bird brain. And I'm pretty proud of myself for not going on too many tangents today, considering how many open tabs I have open in my brain lately. But once Both Feet In starts, we'll probably have a little bit more time to run podcasts. I'm trying to get off social media a little bit and would like to be here. Please note that I don't own any of my content on Instagram. I know that's really sad. So please do me a favor and get off Instagram. Just kidding. Don't get off Instagram. But please be subscribed in other areas. I've seen a lot of fraud lately on Instagram, people creating duplicate accounts, getting hacked, getting accounts deleted. And frankly, I think Instagram is slowly on its way out. I don't know. This is my prediction. And also, Instagram is just exhausting, no? So I love this podcast, everyone. I love it. I love this podcast. I love you. I love imagining whispering into your sweet little ears. And I'd like to do more of this. And if you would subscribe to this podcast, that would be amazing. And be sure you're on TikTok too. TikTok's fun. Okay, everyone. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you're considering joining Both Feet In or getting into Relationship Anxiety Alchemist, head on over to anxiouslovecoach.com. If you do want to do the self-study course, use the code Valentine 15 at checkout for 15% off either Relationship Anxiety Alchemist, the self-study course, or my conscious communication course. Both of those you can get 15% off and give your relationship a little extra love and tools to improve your relationship, your communication, and really just learn how to understand yourself within the context of being an item with someone else. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in today and listening. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to you very soon. Goodbye. If you love Anxious Love Coach, please leave us a review. Every month, I will be choosing one review, posting the username on my Instagram page, and offering that person a personalized voice message response to any question of their choice via private message. Thanks for listening to the Anxious Love Coach today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please also subscribe to my email list at anxiouslovecoach.com as I'm trying to reduce my reliance on social media. In exchange, you'll receive my free relationship anxiety meditation and a ton of information that I won't share to the general public about my personal challenges and learnings within relationship. If you would like to work with me and or my co-coach, head on over to my website and click Start Here. Thanks for listening and catch you in the next episode.